Hey guys, I'm Dwight. I'm going to go through PlusSpec because your lecturers have asked me to give you a bit of a rundown, knowing that it's in your course, and we're entering a new world, something new to you, a 3D world, and I'm going to give you a rundown of how to do that, how to get involved in PlusSpec, how to get really good at it, and how to actually hopefully ace your classes. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is open SketchUp. Obviously by now you've downloaded SketchUp and you've also followed the PlusSpec installation instructions, and you're going to come up with a screen like this which basically says what would you like to use as a template. And you can see at the back here I've got a template. I've chosen millimeters. So in Australia we actually use millimeters as our default units in the design, estimating, construction industry. However, if you're stateside in America you might be using imperial. And if you were using meters, you need to be careful. So for instance, if you're using meters but you're typing in millimeters, everything's going to be 1,000 times bigger than you actually require. So 1,000 millimeters would be a kilometer long wall if you're not careful. So millimeters is your preferred option here. Now you'll also notice I actually have probably more tools in here than you're used to, but some of you might be using different tools according to the course you're doing, whether it be architecture, engineering, construction, or estimating. So I'm going to go through these tools, and if you don't have it in there, just simply fast forward 10 seconds to the next one. The first tool I have is 2D mode, and you'll notice here I'm in a standard SketchUp window. I have no tags, or originally called layers, and I've got this little default tray open. If you don't have the default tray open, you can actually go up to window, default tray, show tray, and it will do it. I like to pin my tray to one side, guys. Up here, and when I need it open, I open it. When I close, it's better. SketchUp works faster with it pinned, guys, so I hope that helps out. The next one is a job tool. So I'm just going to quickly click on that job tool, and basically this is where you would put in all the information and set up a geolocation for where you are doing your course, or where you're intending on building, or whatever it might be. And there's stages of the job, and everything inside of here actually just has a bit of help on the left hand side. It also has video help up here and forum help, and you can utilize these at any time. It's a good idea when you're learning SketchUp and PlusSpec in combination to actually have two screens. If you don't have two screens, get a HDMI cable, plug it straight into the TV. It'll really make it a lot easier for you. Alright, so all of this information goes towards a project, and also inside of here we have geolocation. So at the moment I'm in Australia, in New South Wales, and I like to do my default takeoff in meters. This will all make sense as you go forwards, guys. Don't get intimidated by it. Fill in what you can, what you can't, don't. And at the end of it, click submit, and what it will do, you can then go up and go file, save as template, and you'll never fill that information in again. Now, before I go in and go through all of these tools one by one, I'm going to quickly show you what a 15-year-old can do. This is a model that's been designed using PlusSpec, and the brief was to actually draw it up for a builder so they could do a quantification and have a look at the project. And let's have a just quick look at what's going on here. We have structure, and this looks potentially intimidating, but it's actually really easy to do, guys. It's just tracing over a set of plans. Quick look at different elements of a project. Now that's what a 15-year-old can do, and it's something you guys will easily be able to do after you get some practice time. But let's have a look at what a professional would do. A professional, this is the Holiday Inn in New Zealand, and essentially it's called a federated model, so it has everything inside of it. So I'm just going to quickly go up here and have a quick look. Right, so inside of this model, it has everything, including mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, all of our finishes, and how this project will be built right down to structure. Right, so if we went up here and had a look, it's all about communication. This is a quantity surveying company that did this, and they needed to put everything together: the engineer's drawings, the architectural drawings, the facades, the roofing, the site layout, and the plans. They got them all together and they put them in so that they could actually do a bill of quantities and do it very, very quickly, or more importantly, efficiently. Okay, and the reason why we like to put everything together from all of the consultants is that it enables us to actually ensure that the construction process is going to go together well. It enables us to ensure that the projects are going to come in on budget, and it enables us to communicate through all parties and solve errors virtually before we actually start to build. So it's not expected that you would produce this type of drawing, but it is possible for you to produce this type of drawing, and you guys being a lot younger than us will actually be better at this than the people that are doing this work now. So it's an exciting part of a career moving forwards. Okay, so let's get back to the toolbar. All right, let's go back to that first file that we started with over here. And so we've spoken about our 2D tool, our job tools, and the next one we have the estimating tool. You'll only have one of these. I'm using a development version here, but that will basically do where you're going to do all of your bill of quantities and figure out what's inside of a model. The next one is Xero. Xero is a program that's been made in New Zealand for the accounting side of a business. And you might go in there and actually add, people that are going to be involved. From an architect's point of view, it might be consultants, engineers, or so on. From a builder's point of view, it might be subcontractors and, architects and so on. The next tool that we have up here is actually a custom estimating tool. So not everyone is going to be using PlusSpec to actually draw their buildings. So you might get something in Revit or ArchiCAD or so on, and you want to go through and quantify those buildings. This button here, which you won't have in all versions of PlusSpec, so don't fret if it's not there. We can just simply skip forward to the next one. The next one is levels and layers. So for instance, when you have a project that has multiple stories or levels, you need to add levels in there, and you can actually draw on a level just like you might do in ArchiCAD or Revit. And you can go in and put in the name of that level, and you can put in a height, and you can draw out a height. The next one is importing a plan. So if I wanted to import a PDF, I could simply go in here, choose what quality of PDF I want to go in and go import a PDF, and I can scroll through the pages, choose the PDFs that I want, and I can have them vertical or horizontal and allow me to quickly draw over a set of plans. You can also drag and drop into SketchUp as well, any images or DWGs. The next tool is the floor tool. So essentially this would be what we would create a floor from, and you'll notice that we can create footings, joists, flooring and so on. So if all those terms don't mean anything to you, it is explained inside of here. You can look at the images on the left hand side, or you can do a tutorial, and if you're not sure about anything, you can just click on the forum and you can ask questions on the forum, so that will help you out. I've got a community of people that do their best to answer questions. Okay, the next one we have here is, you're not going to have that one just yet. That's something cool that's coming soon. Next one we have is a wall tool, and the same with every other tool. Don't forget that you actually have help inside of every tool, and hovering over these orange items here will tell you a little bit more about what's going on. And if any of these ever turn red, so for instance if I made my header height, which is there, higher than my wall height, it'll turn red. So let's go to 2700, and you'll notice that now that's red. Basically it's telling you that there's an error, and if you hover over it, it's going to show you an image of what's going on there. Right. Okay, so that's our wall tool, and you can see it's actually trying to start to draw a wall already because I actually just got carried away there. However, let's move forwards. The next one is a window tool. So obviously we can add windows to walls. So if I select a wall, I can add a window. It's reasonably straightforward. You can move windows and so on. And all of this happens really, really quickly and efficiently, and it's going to do a lot of work for you. Right. Doors would be the same as windows. Columns or posts, depending on where you live and call them, you can add in a post and column, and you'll be basically tracing over top of a set of plans. Notice I'm in a 3D view. It kind of makes it harder to place things. So if I actually went back to a 2D view and I place things, they're all going to be on the ground level. See that? All right, moving forwards, steel beams. Now we could have steel beams that actually, or timber beams, or anything that actually goes between particular items, and you probably wouldn't go and try and draw a set of everything first. You just go and practice like I am right now. Don't get caught up in it, because there's no mistakes when you're young. People are willing to help, and people are expecting you to make mistakes, so don't be afraid of the software, just work with it. Roofing tool, obviously we'll do roofs, and once again inside of the roofing tool you can draw roofs, and you have the tutorials. Obviously I don't want to do that. I use a rectangle tool inside of SketchUp there, select the face. Not only can you click up here, I can actually right click, and you'll notice that it has a whole heap of different options. So I might want to draw floor joists on that SketchUp geometry, assign a level, ceilings, roof, slab, room quantities. I can add a whole heap of things. So everything with a plus in front of it is actually part of PlusSpec or PlusDeisgnBuild, and that enables you to just get quicker than going up to the toolbar and back all the time. The next one is a room tool, which basically enables us to choose different types of rooms. So it might be an attic, and it will enable you to maybe figure out loads for air conditioning or whatever it is, and it will create 3D geometry that you can use for quantification of particular elements of a project, and it will also label them according to what you filled in there. Stair Tool, pretty obvious. Click on Stair Tool, choose the stair type you want, push submit, and you'll have a set of stairs. Right. There are some really good things to know inside of here. Is if I chose yes and I put in a set of stairs, it's actually going to show me the heights, so I don't bump my head when I'm walking up those set of stairs. So that's pretty cool. What else have we got here? We're up to our scene tool. Now a scene tool is really important. The scenes, I'll go and show you a set of scenes, but I'll create some scenes here as well and go submit. What it enabled me to do is actually look at things in elevation, plan, floor plan, but it also enabled me to turn things off and on. So according to what I've drawn, it will organize your model for you, which makes it so much easier. Probably one of the first things you actually want to click after you started creating some geometry is the scene tool. And I'll quickly go back and have a look at another model here. Let's say, for instance, this model here. We can add in these things, and I'll go through that in a moment, but we may want to just break this project down. At the moment it's in like a client view, so we might want to show a client through a project. However, our scenes can enable us to go and look at the kitchen, so it can give us a location. Right, there's our kitchen. Or we might actually just want to go and have a look at it from a framing perspective, or how it's going to be built. And the idea is that if we can figure out how to build it virtually, it's going to be, we can understand price and we can understand complexity. And more important, buildability actually. So, okay, so let's move on to the next tool. The next tool is a scheduling tool, which means I can schedule a project. I can associate a date, a time where people are supposed to turn up and do things. And it's really good to do that virtually. And I might just give you a quick demonstration of a project that's been scheduled virtually. Okay, so here we have just a typical two-story house here. And let's go back and we'll click on our scheduling tool up here. And you'll notice this project's already been scheduled, so it has a start date, and on certain dates certain parts of the project are going to be done, and certain things are going to be required, for instance plant or site safety, rubbish removal, amenities and so on. And as we go through and build the project, you can see I've got a concrete slab here and I need a concrete pump to do it, and all of these have attributes associated with them, or information associated with them, that enable us to know who we're going to get them from, how long they're going to be there, and what the cost would be. It enables us to set out a project, and we can go through a project in many stages and until it's actually right through to construction. Right. So scheduling is a really important part, and you'll notice that would be our 4D side of PlusSpec. Okay, so the next tool up here is actually our 2D documentation, which enables us to choose paper sizes and everything, so we can actually send these plans or elevations or whatever it is required across to 2D, so we can print out a set of plans or create a PDF that has dimensions so that this project can be buildable, portable, without a computer. Very comprehensive. Don't forget to watch the tutorials and hover over things, and it will tell you what everything does. The next tool up here is actually layout framing. So inside of a project, let's quickly go to structure here, we have frames, and you don't need to worry about this too much. PlusSpec will automate the majority of this. But if I actually went in here and isolated a frame, you can see there's a lot of things that somebody's physically going to have to cut and nail together. So this tool up here will actually go through and automate that and create a full set of framing lists into a layout so that someone can build them off-site and have a semi-modular construction. They might actually have a fully modular construction as well, depending on the use case, but it's good to know what these tools do. The grid tool, really simple. We can actually go in and put grids. So when you first start out in PlusSpec, sometimes it's difficult to, you can see I've got a frame up here and so on. If I go through and go Control A and delete it, and I just wanted to start with a blank canvas without using the levels and layers tool, because that's only part of some PlusSpec, I can go in here and I can actually create a grid. Now you can see that I can't see it because it's turned off. If I go back to all, my grid there, or see all, will also show everything inside of it. Now if I was going to draw anything, I can draw on a line because I can select it, and it's going to make it easier for me to actually get incremental ideas, and you can change the size of these grids in both directions. It'll help you out a lot, especially when you're starting. Okay, so the next one is the Purge tool up here, and if I click that, what it's going to do is SketchUp, when you've gone through and deleted something, will actually hold them inside of a storage area, and that can slow you down a little bit. So a Purge tool, and the reason why I've got a little running man on it, is it actually speeds up SketchUp. So you can actually go through and purge components only, materials, which is basically the texture that's on the face of a wall, or styles that could be inside of your scenes, and clean them up automatically. And just go okay, and it will go through and clean up. You notice that when I deleted those things, I had 133 components, which basically made it go faster. The next one is the component tool, which is kind of really important because there's more to construction than just sticks and bricks. We've obviously got, you know, taps and lights and, you know, a whole heap of different things, and all of them can go inside of SketchUp very, very quickly and can be quantified very quickly. So I mentioned the quantification tool here. If I clicked on that, and you notice now I've got one thing in there that's electrical. I can associate price. It's going to tell me about it. So it can actually be purchased or put into a project so that a customer can look at it and decide whether that's what they're after. Inside of the component tool, there are multiple different items, and you should go through and have a bit of a look through these items. So you've got kitchens, you've got furniture, you've got, you know, a whole heap of different things that you can use to go through and build a project the way that we would build it on site. These also are very, very efficient, so they've been drawn in a way that makes SketchUp run more efficiently. Okay, so what have we got next? The Sync tool. Now, depending on where you are in the world, you're going to need different materials. And when I briefly touched on that when we looked at the job tool, down in settings, it's going to choose a location, because on the east coast of Australia we have different products to the west coast of Australia, and obviously it's too expensive to get bricks taken from Western Australia to New South Wales. So you want to have your location, and you want to synchronize that location so that you've got local products that you're actually going to use in the drawing that you're going to do. There's also access to a user library. So if I click that, I can go through and find other materials that have been created by either students or architects or builders, and you can utilize those when you're drawing projects. You can also share your library. So you might say, well, I've got somebody else that I want to work with on a PlusSpec project, and you can go through and share your library by using the Sync tool. The next thing is I actually have a pricing tool. So if I actually select this light here and click on this, I can go through and I can set a price. All right, so I might say, well, this is going to be $100 to purchase and $50 to install. Right, when I do that and I do a takeoff, I'm going to have $150 for that light. Pretty simple and works nice and efficiently. We also have a BIM tool, so you might be creating stuff inside of SketchUp, and you'll notice that when I click that, it asks me to create a selection. I'm going to quickly show you how this works. I'm just going to quickly draw a rectangle, pull it up, and it might be something, I don't know, special. You'll notice when I'm drawing, I'm not actually going up to all the tools. I'm using keyboard shortcuts, and you can set keyboard shortcuts inside of it. So whatever this may be, I can actually select it, go to my BIM tool, and I can call it what I think it might be. It might be a water feature, it might be whatever. Right, and it could have a brand, it could have a product code. You might want to place it on a layer or a tag so that it's in the right location. You can type things about it, you can associate price and so on. And basically it enables you to have anything custom that SketchUp can create, and you can give it a name, and you can save it for next time and drag it in and use that product over and over. That is what the first part of the BIM MEP tool is for. The second part of the BIM MEP tool is actually mechanical, electrical and plumbing. So you can have duct work, you can have cold water pipes, you can have exhaust, everything that you can think of to actually go through, and you can create pipes according to what the selection is you've chosen, and obviously they'll be quantified. MEP is really important because it's probably one of the biggest problems that we actually have in construction is that it hasn't been thought about at the design stage, and sometimes we're cutting structural elements to get in things like air conditioning ducts and so on. So it's a good idea to understand how to use it, and don't forget to watch your tutorials. The next one is an interact tool, which basically, if we just go back to another project here and we go back to say our pool and landscape, it allows us to interact with things, and you can see that I have shadows on there, which is actually going to slow me down, guys, so get used to turning them off. If you ever need access to these items, you can right click up here in the toolbar and you can choose different things to be turned on and off, for instance shadows. Right. Now the Interact tool will enable you to open and close things, and probably more for a customer understanding, but it's also good to see an Interact tool on a door. You make sure it doesn't hit the toilet, or it works the right way. So the Interact tool, if you see when you click on something, it's got the little yellow four-sided triangle there. It'll enable things to open and close, and you can go through and you can change things inside of a project really quickly with an Interact tool. Most of those components are all up inside of the component tool that we showed you before. We also have help. Most importantly, help. You have beginner help, you have intermediate help, you have advanced help. So once again, you get two screens. Watch your beginner help on one side of the screen and actually try and follow those along bit by bit. You can also make comments in the videos, and someone will get on there and actually help you out, and sometimes that happens quicker than what you would think. Down here it says your software is up to date, which basically means you've got the latest version of software, and this one here is your material library is up to date. So for instance, if someone discontinued a product or added new products in there and this is black, you click that, give it about 5 minutes or so, it's going to download new items so you can actually continue to work forwards with PlusSpec. The next one is See All, and See All is really important because when you're in larger projects, we've got these tags that we spoke about before, or layers, and essentially that enables us to turn things on and off. But to go through manually and find out all of the things that were turned on and off can be really slow and sometimes cumbersome. Whereas if I click See All, it's going to turn everything back on for you, which enables you to go back and figure out what it is you want to turn off. And I might say, well, I don't like a particular part of this model, and I selected it, 17A frame. If I went through in SketchUp 21, 17A frame, turn it off, and bang, they're going to be gone. And it enables you to control your model a lot quicker and so on. And the last thing is IFC. To create a project like this, it would be unusual for one person to do it. It's usually a multitude of different consultants and architects, designers, interior designers, detailers that would actually go together to build a project like this. And they could use different software, for instance Revit or ArchiCAD or MicroStation, Bentley, whatever it is. And if you click on that IFC button, it's going to enable you to import an IFC file. So your consultant might be using Revit, they would export it via IFC, you would import that IFC file. And the problem with IFC inside of SketchUp was it was really cumbersome and hard to use. Now we've actually got this tool. When you import that IFC file, you can optimize the IFC file, which will basically break it down into bite-sized chunks so you can control the model, and if you use it in conjunction with the custom estimation tool, you can quantify a project or outline problems inside of a project very quickly. And a good way to outline problems is actually the tag tool, which is inside the BIM tool. And there might be certain things that you have concerns with. You might have a safety issue, a confined space, whatever it might be, falling objects, and you can go and put in a tag and say, right, I want this tag to be in here, and you can go and type in things about it, and it enables you to communicate either with other colleagues or to outline potential safety hazards on site. That was inside of the tag tool, guys. If you need to go back, just go back and you can check that out. Another thing that the IFC tool does is it actually goes through and actually slims the model down. It takes out excess geometry that's not required and makes it run a lot faster. So at the end of the day, guys, it's all about being better at what we do. Okay, so it's a very rewarding career to be in this industry, and to be good at it, and especially to be young and good at it, is fantastic, because it'll set you up into a position where you can be very valuable to a company, and you can actually have a great career that will hopefully be fruitful, pay you well, and enable you to relax on the weekends. And most importantly, we all need to relax a little bit as well. Alright guys, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask them below. If you like the video, push like. If you dislike it, push dislike, and tell us why. We always do our best to improve, to ensure that you guys are the next best thing that comes into our industry. Cheers.